What is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word genocide? The Turkish government must issue a formal apology for the systematic annihilation of its Armenian citizens during World War I. Many, upon hearing the term genocide, will jump to mental images of tragically thin Holocaust survivors. The term was created in part to describe the Holocaust, but also formed to give a name to the organized killings of the Armenian people between the years of 1915 and 1918. The Armenians are an ethnic and religious minority of the Christian tradition who at the time of World War I were living inside the boundaries of Turkey. According to the New York Times, over 1,500,000 Armenians were brutally slaughtered by Turkish soldiers, civilians, and çetes. Çetes were gangs of criminals released from prison to target the ethnic and religious minorities. The Turkish government has claimed the Armenians were deported for fear of their collaboration with the Russian government, but there is strong evidence to disprove this claim being the motivating factor. This was not the first organized killing of the Turkish Christians. Thousands had already died before the climax of the slaughters in World War I. I'm now going to read from Armenian Golgotha. A series of processions. Tens of thousands of Armenian deportees. They're taking us toward Zor, worn out, emaciated every day. We are dying with torment, abandoned by merciless fate. This poem was written by Grigoris Balalkin in his memoir of the Armenian genocide titled Armenian Golgotha. Balalkin was a leading member of the Armenian Apostolic Church and was one of the first deportees from Constantinople. The first to go were the intellectual and spiritual leaders. This eliminated the threat of Armenian unification behind a strong leader. In the end, the Holy War, or jihad declared by the Turkish government against the Entente powers, was carried out only against the unarmed and defenseless Armenian population by the most savage of means. Balalkin was witness to some of the most brutal of murders carried out by mankind. Men, women, and children were slaughtered with nothing more than common household items by the bloodthirsty Turkish population. Despite the involvement of the Turkish government in the genocide, made evident through official documents, the use of the military, and confession of officials, the government still refuses to condemn its actions. Article 301 of the Turkish Penal Code states, insulting Turkey, the Turkish nation, or Turkish government institutions is not permitted. What does this mean? Under this 2005 law, it is illegal for Turkish citizens to make mention of the Armenian genocide. Turks who break this law can face jail time, and one Turkish man who wrote about the genocide was assassinated. The Turkish government may be afraid to assume responsibility for the actions of the Young Turks, the leaders at the time of the genocide, because of the reparations they may be forced to pay. The Armenians were relatively prosperous as Turkish citizens. Many of them were valuable tradesmen. After a village was deported, Turks, whether civilians, military, or government personnel, would steal the Armenians' possessions and instruments of livelihood. Calculations of reparations soar into the billions. Though modern governments, as well as the Pope, have repeatedly condemned the perpetrators of the genocide, the Turks continue to dispute the claims of genocide. They were so outraged by the Pope's comments on the issue that they recalled their ambassador from the Vatican. We recently passed the 100th anniversary of the genocide. It is well beyond time for the Turkish government to right their wrongs. There is overwhelming evidence for the Turkish government's involvement in the slaughter of 1.5 million Armenians. They should be censured globally until they acknowledge their wrongs and formally apologize to the now established Armenian nation. Forgiveness can come, but we should never forget the evil of the Armenian genocide.